Hello, everyone. This is Maureen Donahue Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to HSC 220, Constructing Madness, the Representation of Mental Illness in Hollywood Film. I hope you are all well and staying safe. As you'll see, your first assignment really is to introduce yourself to the class. So let me start by telling you a little bit about my own background. I'm a full-time faculty member in the School of Nursing, where I am also co-director of the Graduate Psychiatric Mental Health Nurse Practitioner Program, and I also teach the undergraduate clinical course in psychiatric nursing. I've had a good bit of experience working in inpatient psychiatric settings, and I've also been in private practice as a psychiatric nurse practitioner. In that role, I conduct psychiatric assessments and prescribe and monitor psychiatric medications where those are needed. In my first academic career, though, before I went into nursing, I was a PhD candidate in English literature, and I guess I've always really been drawn to the narratives and the stories of people's lives, first in books, then in my clients' real-life stories, and in this class, in film. As you all know, this is an online 7-week course that fulfills an ILO 10 requirement. And I realize some of you may have had a lot of experience with the online format, while for others of you, this may be your first experience. Please be sure to let me know right away if you're having any difficulties so we can get you the help you need. One of the major differences that I see between the face-to-face and online courses is that in the online courses, sometimes students forget to check in without that physical class to go to. You can set Canvas to notify you when any new announcements are made, so please be sure to do whatever works for you to stay in touch. It's so important to be connected to the class to make sure that you're up to date. If there are any changes to assignments or clarifications of course requirements, in that announcements module is where I'll let you know. Instructions are included for every assignment. There are descriptions, guidelines for assignments, there are grading rubrics, and they're all posted before the assignments are due, so please be sure to look over them. It'll give you a good idea of what the assignment requires. As you look over the syllabus, you'll see we'll be moving pretty quickly. If our time seems packed, you're absolutely right. We're compressing 15 weeks of content into 7. Generally, students are advised to allow about 15 to 20 hours per week to complete assignments in these accelerated classes, because actually you're kind of doing 2 classes in one. So in a 7-week course, it's also critical to stay on top of assignments since there's not a lot of wiggle room. There's not a lot of time to catch up. I'm just going to refer briefly to the course description to kind of give us a base from which to start. The course explores the representation of mental illness and therapy in Hollywood films. That is, these are films that are designed to appeal to a popular audience, and I might add a paying audience. So in this course, students are going to look at some of the basic strategies of film analysis, and we're going to talk about the way mainstream films portray those individuals who are suffering from a mental illness, to look at the therapists who treat them, and to look at some of the psychodynamic and biological treatment modalities that are used. We really don't have the time, and it's not the purpose of the course to review the official diagnostic system, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the 5th edition. It's kind of beyond the scope of this class, but we'll refer to these formal diagnostic criteria when we're critiquing the accuracy of the representation of these psychiatric conditions, especially the ones that are portrayed in the films we're watching. The primary focus in the course is the effect of film on the public's attitudes toward mental illness, and the degree to which mainstream films both reflect and shape our attitudes toward those people who experience mental illness, towards those who treat it, that is, towards help seeking, and toward the therapeutic treatment process. So what do we think causes mental illness, and what do we think heals it? Hopefully by the end of the course, all of you will have some experience summarizing the competing and complementary explanations for the etiology of mental illness. That is, there's still a good deal of controversy about what conditions actually represent and what leads to them. That students will be able to analyze mainstream depictions of the mentally ill in the films that we're watching anyway. That students will be able to critique the portrayal of the role of therapists and psychotherapy in the films that we're watching. That students will be able to analyze the major ethical issues and the implications of the film misrepresentations of mental illness and treatment. That is, those films that actually contribute to stigma related to mental illness. Students will be able to describe the formal diagnostic system used to define the different types of mental illness, and hopefully to identify and apply the knowledge of at least some basic filmmaking techniques to the analysis of selected films, and especially how they are designed to affect the viewer. And hopefully and ideally, students will also have a deeper understanding of the challenges that face people with mental illness, that they'll acquire a fuller appreciation for some of the ethical principles that guide mental health treatment, increasing your awareness of the techniques that filmmakers use to elicit different responses in the viewer, and increasing awareness of the different types of stigma, especially as they relate to portrayals of mental illness. And in that process, we'll be expanding our knowledge of the vocabulary and some of the theories and critical approaches to critiquing film. As you'll see, the readings for the course come from 2 books and a series of articles. Wedding Boyd and Niemek, Movies and Mental Illness Using Films to Understand Psychopathology. The most recent edition is the 4th edition. And we'll be using that, and also the book by Skip Dine-Young, Looking at Psychology at the Movies. There are a variety of articles. These are all posted on Canvas that you can take a look at. I'm not expecting that people will review research articles for their methodology, their sample size, the nature of the sample, and that kind of thing, but basically looking at what is the research question and looking at the discussion and the conclusion sections. So I know what people are typically interested in are what are the course assignments. You'll see weekly discussion board and peer responses. Now, every week there will be a film assigned to watch, and students will have access to the films through the links that are presented on Canvas. If you have a copy, if a friend has a copy, normally I would say check out your local library, but I don't think that that's going to be an option for us. The links will send you to places like Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, wherever you can find the film, as long as it's the one that we're watching, that's fine. If you go through the links, they're usually about $2.99, $3.99. Sometimes if you have a subscription to Netflix, which you can have a 30-day free trial, so you might want to do that when you review what you have access to or what you already own. That might be a good option. But anyway, each week we'll be reviewing a film. There will be discussion questions posted on the discussion board. You will enter your own response to the questions, and then you'll be asked to respond to at least 2 of your classmates. So this means that you have a film a week. Your original post is due on Friday. Your responses to your peers are due on Sunday. Okay, so students should read and respond to the post of at least 2 classmates within 48 hours, and you'll see the dates for these on the syllabus. So that's what the weekly discussion board and peer responses refers to. There are 2 quizzes, multiple choice short answer. One is roughly at the midterm. You'll see that the readings are heavily loaded toward the beginning of the course. In many ways, that's because there's really a need to get the vocabulary, the concepts, ways of talking about film under your belt as you start to review individual films. So there'll be a quiz on June 10th, one on due by July 2nd. And I'll post the dates where they're available. Usually there's like a 24 to hour period where the test is available. And you'll be taking those online. There's also an individual film critique. This is a paper that provides a systematic, in-depth analysis of one individual film. And as I said, there will be opportunities to review the guidelines, to ask questions about the guidelines. And if you have any questions, again, do please let me know about any of the assignments. Please do feel free to contact me anytime. As I noted on that introductory slide, email is probably the most effective way to reach me. Obviously, I'm probably not going to be in my office much at this point. I'm usually very good about getting back to people within 24 hours. That's my goal. If you don't hear from me in 24 hours, it's not bugging me to contact me again. Sometimes you know how messages end up in cyberspace. So I like to be able to say, I hope to be able to say that you'll get a quick response. I'd like to schedule 2 synchronous Zoom sessions during the course. It's an opportunity to talk with your classmates, to ask questions and hear the questions that they're asking. I'll send out a survey to try to identify times that would be convenient for everyone. And I know it's not mandatory, it may not be possible, but I will post the Zoom session for those who can't attend. It may be helpful in terms of getting clarification or talking about the kinds of things that are coming up for you as we watch the films. And in that vein, the films we watch may bring up issues that are emotionally sensitive, and I have found this in the past, that sometimes the themes really kind of hit home for people. And it's not uncommon for students to think about their own situations and think about seeking professional help. And if that happens during the course, there are counseling resources that are available to you. I've put them on the syllabus, but also if you have your own private resources, I'd encourage you to take advantage of them. So if you have any questions for yourself, a family member, a friend, you might want to pursue it as we talk about these issues throughout the course. And I think this is particularly relevant in the time of COVID. There are a couple caveats that I would offer for taking an online course. Now, some of the general tips for success, do go play around with Canvas to be sure you know what's there and where things are. Again, contact information. Best way to reach me is through email. Least reliable is the office phone. I check email. I kind of live on email. So if I don't respond again within 24 hours, send another message. It's not bugging me. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. It should be easy to arrange a time to talk. Sometimes it's easier to talk on the phone than emailing for certain kinds of questions. What's very important is to use your LaSalle email only. Personal email often gets lost in cyberspace, so use your LaSalle portal. Do be sure to check several times a week for announcements. Sometimes if there's a clarification or a change, that's where it's posted. So read through all the instructions and the rubrics for the assignments, and then you'll know that you're addressing the assignment requirements. All assignments are submitted through Canvas, not through email. So there should be drop boxes for all the assignments. If you need help, do reach out early so we can be sure to get you the support you need. If you're not that familiar, stay safe, be well.